Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. If you're new, thanks for joining us. If you're a return viewer, welcome back. If you like the content, please like and subscribe, and always feel free to leave comments and questions below. Today I just want to do some talk about the Ethereum wallet that I've been trying to run. Now, I have a virtual machine, an Oracle virtual machine running on my Windows PC, and last month I decided I wanted to run a full node of Ethereum on my computer, so I can have my private keys in my control and have a full copy of the Ethereum blockchain. Now, I want to put a warning out there. I'm definitely not an Ethereum techie. I don't know all the details of how it all works for sure, so if I say some incorrect things, please correct me below. Anyways, I wanted to move all my coins into this full node wallet, and so I downloaded the software, got it all running, and it seemed to sync just like you see on the screen right here. It was syncing starting at block 1, obviously, and there's 4.1 million blocks or something at the time, and it synced up to that in several days. And all I did was download it, double clicked on the the download folder here, and just double clicked on the wallet and started. And it took several days to sync the blockchain, and it worked. And then a few weeks went by. Well, let me reverse. After it synced, I sent all my Ethereum and some of my ERC20 tokens I was holding at the time to that wallet. And then I shut down my virtual machine, for a week or a little more than a week maybe, and let them sit, obviously falling behind the current state of the blockchain. And I come back and I try to sync the blockchain again, and this time I really can't ever get past this screen. It's always syncing, and it's always behind the latest block, and it's always downloading this new chain structure. So, and like right now, it's apparently checking the network, so maybe it's lost connection again. I've had to close it and start it several times. But sometimes it allows you to open the wallet while it's still syncing, and then you can view around and see your stuff in there. But when I do that, I don't see my balance, I don't see my Ethereum balance, and I don't see any of my tokens. And another thing about the tokens in this wallet is to view tokens on the Ethereum blockchain within your wallet. It doesn't show them by default. You have to go in and add the contract address for each token you hold. And to make matters worse, in this software, once you close it out, it forgets all the token address you've entered. So, for example, I have like 4 different ERC20 tokens, and so I have to paste in this address 4 times each time I open the wallet to check that my coins are in my wallet, to see the balance is there. Now that's pretty annoying, and it's not that big of a deal, but it's rather annoying, and it really prevents me from always opening my wallet and looking in there and making sure things are going. And so I let it close for a week, come back, and it has to sync, obviously, and I just can never get past the screen. I've Googled a lot of things, been to several forums, read a whole bunch of blog posts, whatever's coming up on the Google search results, obviously, and I just didn't find a solution that worked. I ended up deleting the whole blockchain and resyncing it again. That took several days, and then that it got hung up on something again. I just could never get it to actually sync to the latest block. And so I eventually used Geth, which is the command line blockchain interface, and I did a fast sync, and it seems like it was going pretty fast. It was syncing, Geth was running, but then again, it just never came to the latest block. And I don't know if that's because the Ethereum blockchain is growing faster than I'm able to sync it. I don't know, maybe you guys can leave something in the comments, because I'm not really sure if that's the case. But I do have a few websites here I wanted to show. Now here's bcdaniel.net.nz. I found this link on Twitter from someone, and this is showing the Ethereum blockchain size versus Bitcoin's blockchain size. Now, I don't know the credibility of this data, But anyways, you can see that Bitcoin's growth is rather linear, and Ethereum's really speeding up here. And this is only for since April 2016. It really overtook Bitcoin's blockchain size rather quickly, and it's really growing fast. Now, this growth here has to be due from ICOs. I mean, there's so many ICOs coming online on Ethereum, it's insane. And that obviously is going to make the blockchain bloated with a whole bunch of stuff. And it has to be stored somewhere. And according to this chart, we're riding up at 312,000 megabytes. So that's 312 gigabytes. Whereas Bitcoin is sitting somewhere around 166. Although I don't believe that 166 number, I'm not quite sure where that came from, because according to blockchain.info, we're at 132 gigabytes. Now this is the all-time chart of Bitcoin's blockchain size. Now you can see, I'll just get off on a little tangent here. When Bitcoin began, the blockchain was very small because no one was using it, and no one was still using it in 2011, and finally people started using it in 2012, and you have this exponential growth right here, this curve, all the way up to like 2015. Right around the mid of 2015, you started seeing the block size being filled, and this is where you reach the linear growth phase of Bitcoin, because the blockchain is fixed, the block size is fixed, so it's going to have a linear growth in terms of blockchain size. Now that SegWit is enabled, this should start adjusting itself and becoming not linear anymore with the greater than 1 megabyte blocks. Now let's go back to this chart. So back to the original thought here. Is Ethereum not sinking because it just can't catch up to the latest block because there's so many? Now, from my understanding, I don't think Ethereum, the node, actually downloads 312 gigabytes of data. I mean, my virtual machine is only set at 100 gigabytes of data, so I'm not really sure where that's coming from. If any of you can explain that in the comments below, that'd be great. Well, anyway, what happened in my experience is, I got kind of sick of doing this. I was tired of not having access to my coins, because when you put all your coins on your full node, you want access to them really fast. I mean, that's your wallet. The purpose of holding your coins is so you have access to your money right then and there. And with this always syncing like this, I just can't ever access my funds. Now, obviously, I have a copy of my key store file, which is where my private keys are held, so I can download my Ether wallet, which is a light node. It's not downloading the full node. You're still relying on a central party to supply you the blockchain, so that's why it's not purely a full node. But anyways, you can download that, import your private key file, and you can send those coins right out. And my Ether wallet works great. There's nothing. I had a lot of success with that wallet. But anyways, I gave up on the Ethereum full node because I was tired of my computer running all night. It has loud fans, and computers have these flashing LEDs on it, so I got sick of that running. It just kept halting. This and a few other things. That's pretty much what broke the straw that broke the camel's back for me on Ethereum, at least in this cycle. I'm not done with Ethereum. Ethereum has a bright future, and I'll continue to keep an eye on it and see how this all plays out. But as for right now, as a financially motivated decision, I moved out of Ethereum to see where this all goes. Ethereum has brought a lot of new people and a lot of attention into the crypto space, and for that we really have to thank Ethereum. But in terms of what I just explained, that's pretty much what made my decision today to do that. Well, not today, but pretty recently here. And I guess there's a few other things too that have been on my mind about Ethereum, and that's, obviously the China banning ICO stuff. And I personally think that's a good thing, because, the only people that are having a bad time with this ICO ban, really, when you think about it, are the people who are creating scam ICOs, or the people who are really invested into ICOs, which, ICOs are 100% pre-mined token that, for the most part, in a lot of these ICOs, a central party controls the majority of those coins. So it's not even really like the same philosophy as Bitcoin. It's like a share, and these are centralized tokens. They're based on a decentralized blockchain on Ethereum, but they're centralized supplies and they're controlled. And frankly, they're they're probably going to be ruled as securities and not be legal. And I know that doesn't stop them, but it sure is going to make this ICO craze come to a cold, or might slow it down a little bit at least. You never know what's going to happen with this whole industry and crypto. It's so fast pacing and changing. You just have to play this day by day pretty much. But yeah, so the ICOs for me are quite a big concern. I do, on one hand, think it's a great way for groups of people to raise a lot of capital from all around the world really quickly. It certainly innovates and revolutionizes that model. And I do think there are a handful of good ICOs out there. I'm not going to get into that now. But I do think there's a lot of crappy, scammy ICOs where, it's really hard to tell what's a scam because some of them are put together so well. And why not do it when you can make a few $1,000,000? Why not build an ICO and even make some crappy product in the end? And, yeah. So anyways, ICOs are really out of control right now. It's too hard to tell how out of control they're going to get, what's going to happen. So that's another piece of the uncertainty. And another one is what really came to light to me after the first token sale on Ethereum was the DAO. And I watched the DAO get rushed in. It really wasn't coded properly. I don't even know how long they spent reviewing that code. And it raised millions of dollars. And this code, so first of all, Ethereum is like Bitcoin, but on Ethereum, you can put code into the blocks and have code that executes. In Bitcoin, you can't do that. So in Bitcoin, you can run programs from the blockchain. Now, the DAO was a program that ran from the blockchain, and it was programmed not very well. And what happened was a user, who they call a hacker, used the DAO in the right way and moved the funds out and essentially stole a lot of the funds, millions of dollars worth of Ethereum. And, he technically did something wrong, but he did it within the rules of the coded system. So he did it playing by the rules, or he or she, whoever it was, hacked those coins in a way that was designed that way. So anyways, to summarize that, it just opens Ethereum to a whole level of attacks that like Bitcoin isn't exposed to. And I'm definitely not a super in-depth technical person that can really go into those attack vectors. But it just seems to me that once you add the functionality to put executable code into the blockchain, well, that certainly enlarges your attack surface area. Now, I don't know if that's going to be a big factor in the future for Ethereum, but it's something to consider. And one last point I want to go over, which is tied to the DAO, and that's related to Ethereum and, my current feeling of Ethereum, and is pretty much how the Ethereum Foundation handled the DAO situation. You guys have probably read about Ethereum Classic and Ethereum, but I guess I'll give you guys a little bit of background. I'm going to put something different on the background so you guys can look at it at least. So after the DAO incident and those funds being stolen or, properly transferred out by the laws of the code, the Ethereum Foundation, decided to roll back that transaction and reverse that transaction into the blockchain and fork off from the original version of Ethereum. So in essence, you had Ethereum going along and the DAO hack occurred. The Ethereum Foundation comes in, rolls back the copy of the blockchain, and goes forward as calling it Ethereum. So technically speaking, the preserved chain that still has the hack that happened is called Ethereum Classic, and the chain everyone uses now is called Ethereum. And a lot of people got hot-headed about this and do not like the fact that Ethereum is not immutable. It is mutable. They rolled back a transaction. I mean, that to me, on a philosophical level, is, I just lost all trust in Ethereum after that. And that doesn't mean that I don't think it's innovated and has a bright future and is going to be worth a lot of money in the future. That doesn't mean that. That means just philosophically, that just broke my trust in the whole system when they did that. And it's unfortunate that happened, but it is the way it is. And so that's just another thing that is on my mind about Ethereum. But anyways, I don't want to go on too long about this, and I'll let you guys form your own opinions. And just to reiterate, I do think Ethereum is great. I'm not going to sit here and hate talk it, but I'm definitely not an uber psyched fanboy, and I'm going to just hold Ethereum forever. My purpose really with Ethereum is to watch it innovate the space and to help bring more users into cryptocurrencies. And in the end, I really want to accumulate more Bitcoin with my Ethereum. And so that's really, when you really boil it down, that's kind of the purpose of Ethereum for a lot of people. And a lot of people don't really want to hear that, but that's the truth. And if you guys disagree with that or agree, leave comments below, and I'd like to hear what you guys think. As always, I don't know where I stand if I can't argue with someone, so let's have a good debate and learn where each other, one another stands. So anyways, I'll quit rambling on here. You guys have a good evening. Please like and subscribe. Check out my website, bitinformant.com. Give me a thumbs up, and I'll catch you guys on the next video. Bye.